It's funny now how the left, have you noticed, is openly and brazenly trashing the Constitution and the Declaration. Oh, yes, they attack we conservatives as actually wanting to go back to our founding document and to our highest man-made law, the Constitution. What would America look like, they say? What would it look like? Well, let's see. We'd be a freer people. The country wouldn't be on the verge of collapse financially. Our public schools, if they existed, would be NEA free. Our borders would be more secure. Oh, yes. Wouldn't it be horrible? We wouldn't have 20% unemployment, underemployment, or whatever you want to call it. Washington, D.C. wouldn't be calling the shots on everything and anything. In other words, we'd be a free people again. Wouldn't that be something? Oh, I know some of you lives out there, you're thinking about slavery and segregation. Well, once again, that's on you Democrats. I didn't say turn back the clock on liberty for all people. I said embrace the Declaration of Independence, as Abraham Lincoln did. All people have unalienable rights, God-given. Oh, wouldn't it be horrible, ladies and gentlemen? The Industrial Revolution, which these leftists seek to undo, it seems like they want to take us back to the pre-industrial agrarian days. They want to make us poor. They hate the fact that our economy has created so much wealth and luxury for so many people. Oh, it would be so horrible if we went back, wouldn't it? To the miracle that was our founding. Instead, how the hell could we ever survive without the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, the EPA, the Agriculture Department, the Department of Interior, the Department of this and the Department of that, the agency for this and the agency for that, this regulation and that regulation, and that regulation and this regulation? How could we ever survive? How could we ever manage? We need the government to tell us what to eat and when to eat. And not just us, but our children and our grandchildren, too. It's true. And, you know, without the government, we would be destroying our environment. Yes, we would be chopping down every tree just because we don't like trees. We'd be polluting all the water just because we don't like water. That's right. We, the American people, we want dirty air. We want an unsightly environment. We want dirty water, don't we all? Oh, yes. Of course we do. Let's see, what kind of society would we be without this monstrosity, without this Leviathan? We'd be the greatest society on the face of the earth. We'd be the society of our ancestors. Instead, what are we doing here? What are we creating here? Well, we aren't creating anything. What are they creating here? And I love their phrases that the founders would have found absolutely totalitarian. Phrases like share the wealth, spread the wealth. We need a balanced approach, you know. The balance is either more government or more government. That's their balanced approach. Either more taxes or more taxes. More spending and more spending. Can you imagine? Can you imagine doing without? What is it, 2 million federal bureaucrats? What would we do? How would we survive? We wouldn't know how to build a home. We wouldn't know how to clothe ourselves. We wouldn't have a pot to piss in. What would we do without the big government? Well, they say we wouldn't have Social Security. Really? Well, the same people who created it are destroying it. So what would we have? And what wouldn't we have? Seems to me we pay a very high price for something that's very destructive of this society. What would we do without the public school system? Oh, I mean, my Lord. Out there in California, I want to congratulate you. You have elected such a left-wing, Stalinist-type legislature that soon, if Jerry Brown signs it into law, your children will be learning of all the great accomplishments in the gay community. In Maryland, I want to congratulate you. You've elected such a left-wing legislature that they and the Maryland Education Board, or whatever the hell that Politburo calls itself, will insist from now on that your children cannot get a degree, they cannot graduate, unless they are fully indoctrinated in environmental extremism. Congratulations. And all the rest of us? Well, we pay property taxes, most of us on our homes, on our farms, on our businesses. That is, the physical property we have. We pay a massive amount of taxes to our localities to ensure that the NEA's ground troops are fully funded. And then they can demand dues from these teachers, which they will then pour into more government, more leftist politicians. Amazing, isn't it? Just great. What would we do without this massive centralized government? I guess the states, they'd still be around, right? They'd still have their capitals. They'd still have the ability to raise taxes. So we wouldn't be completely without government. But today the states and the localities are appendages of the federal government. They don't think for themselves. They don't act for themselves. I mean, every now and then they elect a governor or legislature that tries. But it's hit or miss. It's 1 or 2 election cycles. That's about it. What would we do if we actually believed in the Declaration of Independence, if we actually followed the Constitution of the United States? What would happen to the judicial oligarchy, where judges sit there as if they're getting directions from God himself on how to change our lives? Gee, what if they didn't have that kind of power? We'd actually have to manage ourselves. But thank goodness, the government just keeps getting bigger. Now they're providing us with menus through restaurants. They're providing us with menus for our children in the cafeterias in our public schools. Our children will eat broccoli, period. It's a great thing. I don't know what we do without them. Meanwhile, of course, the President and the First Lady chow down on French fries and greasy hamburgers, piling it in, but that's different. They get to eat one thing and we have to eat another. They get to fly jets while they demand that nobody else does. They get to go to Las Vegas and Africa and Spain and wherever the hell else they want to go, but we need to have skin in the game. Skin in the game. So clever. We need a balanced approach to massive, oversized, out-of-control government. That's right. You need to sacrifice more so the government sacrifices less. Okay. Forget about the Declaration and the Constitution. What's left? Nothing.